The night Shaka Zulu spirit came to our village. I was just a boy when it happened. We lived in a small village not far from the great mountains. My father told stories about Shaka Zulu, the warrior king, who once ruled with strength and fear. I never thought I'd have my own story about him. One night, the air was thick and the moon was hidden behind dark clouds. The elders said it was a bad omen. But we were used to their warnings, so I didn't think much of it. I was lying in my hut, trying to sleep, when I heard drums. Not the kind we played during celebrations, but a deep, slow rhythm that made my heart beat faster. I crept out of my bed and peeked through the door. The whole village was awake. People were whispering and pointing toward the forest. My mother grabbed my hand, her fingers cold and trembling. "Stay close," she whispered. We all moved as one toward the trees. The drums grew louder, but there were no drummers. The sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Suddenly, the night grew colder. I could see my breath, and the ground beneath us felt like it was shaking. Then we saw him. A tall figure, wrapped in shadows, stood at the edge of the forest. His eyes burned like coals, and even though he didn't move, it felt like he was coming closer. The elders fell to their knees, their faces twisted in fear. "Shaka," they whispered. "Shaka Zulu." No one dared to speak. The air was so still that it felt like even the wind was scared. The figure raised his hand, and the drum stopped. Everything went silent. Then, in a voice that was deep and cold, he spoke. "You have forgotten the ways of the Zulu," he said. "You have become weak." I couldn't breathe. His words were like ice, freezing us in place. My father, who was never afraid of anything, bowed his head. The figure turned his burning eyes toward me, and I felt my knees go weak. "You," he said, his voice like a growl. "You must remember." I didn't know what he meant. I just stood there, shaking, as his eyes bore into mine. Then, as quickly as he came, he was gone. The drum started again, fading into the distance until there was nothing left but the sound of our own breathing. The elders said it was a warning. They told us to remember our strength, our courage, and the ways of our ancestors. But I knew it was more than that. I had seen the spirit of Shaka Zulu, and his words would haunt me for the rest of my life. From that night on, I never forgot. And neither did our village. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories from across the world.